so many children, all beautifully serving Lord Shri Krishna in various capacities. I have had the good fortune of knowing his parents, his other family members too. His Holiness Bhaktivinoda Swami Maharaj is a disciple of His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, and he's a sannyasi, and Maharaj is based in Coimbatore, and he also oversees Coimbatore and Kerala. Maharaj also has a wonderful guest house made at Guruvayur in Coimbatore. The temple was inaugurated by our earlier Prime Minister, late Prime Minister Vajpayee, and the temple is now being built in a very grand scale, is slated for opening within the next 1 year. Due to coronavirus, there has been some slowness in closure, but Maharaj is building a grand temple in Coimbatore. Maharaj is very well known. Maharaj basically is a graduate in engineering, and Maharaj has been, mainly joined through college preaching, and he has been himself doing a lot of college preaching and preaching in schools and to the intellectuals. And we have had the good fortune of having Maharaj with us here in Dubai many, many times over the last 30 years. And we are very fortunate that Maharaj has come in today to take us through the pastimes of Krishna and meditations post Janmashtami. I would now like to shift to His Holiness Bhaktivinoda Swami Maharaj's video. His Holiness Bhaktivinoda Swami Maharaja ki jai. Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Maharaj. We are here.
Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. Very, very happy to be here with all of you on this wonderful occasion of Janmashtami. I know this is an extrapolated one-day Janmashtami, but we had pre-Janmashtami also here in South India. So Janmashtami is very important for all of us. Along with Janmashtami is also Prabhupada's appearance day, which for many is even more important. And it's a powerful festival season together, especially in these two festivals. So I'm very happy at this peak time to be with all of you here, to think of Krishna, to meditate on Krishna, and also share with you a few realizations, which may not be new to you, but then repeatedly hearing about Krishna, repeatedly chanting his holy names, and being in the association of devotees is highly recommended. So let's all get together and put ourselves onto the meditation of Krishna post Janmashtami. I'm going to share the screen with you because I just want to show you a little something as we move on. So, having said that, I am not worthy of the great introduction that Sri Vallabh Prabhu has given me. I am familiar with Sri Vallabh Prabhu for many, many years. When he was doing his college, I was also coming to Dubai when his father was in charge, along with my Guru Maharaj. So I can see how Dubai has developed, Damodar Desh has developed to such a huge ocean of wonderful activities and devotees by his wonderful effort along with his team members, and the foundation that his father had laid was being carried on in the parampara very nicely. So I'm very happy to be here with all of you. Although I am a nobody, I'm a very, very small servant. And Sri Vallabh Prabhu has been kind enough to call me up, invite me, and give me this opportunity to be with all of you and share something of my realizations. So I think all of you had a great Janmashtami and Prabhupada's appearance day. Raise your hand if yes, through your digital hand, or otherwise. Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. I know Prabhupada gave us Janmashtami. He actually gifted the whole world Janmashtami. Many of us are Indians, so who would say, no, I knew about Janmashtami before only. But I think many of us are learning what really Janmashtami is in the full sense, in its depth. Human society. Thank you very much for all of you who are raising your hands digitally. Human society has gone through a lot. We are, like I said, extended fantastically in terms of technology and the services of technology. Today, I'm talking to you virtually and accessing hundreds of people because of technology. On the internet, on social media, we're all spread together very comfortably from the confines of our homes. We are able to associate, we are able to see Arati. I just heard the Vishnu Sahasranama, and I know that you had wonderful programs with children and dramas and many other things which I heard about. All this has been possible because of Gokulashtami, because of technology and the widespread. And human beings have really extended themselves and spread wide. But unfortunately, as we've been spreading wide, I'm not speaking about devotees, but generally, as we've been spreading wide, we have actually made our life very thin and shallow. We may have great width, but we are lacking depth. We are lacking depth. And I think this whole Janmashtami is very special. It is depth intensive, depth oriented, depth meditative Janmashtami that has been forced upon us by higher powers. The pandemic Janmashtami 2020 is something which we will never forget for generations together. I think we'll be talking about it in the next generation. That once upon a time, during my times, this happened. And people will be doing, it's a historic thing that we have done, the pandemic Janmashtami 2020. Amazingly, at the beginning of this year, I released a video called 2020, having 2020 perfect vision on what life should be and explaining that we should follow this for a year. Little did I know that this is how we are going to follow it. I had absolutely no idea that we are going to run into a pandemic of this sort. So wonderful that we have spread wide, but Janmashtami is helping us to think deep because we are forced to be meditative, we are forced to be alone, we are forced to think deeply, etc. In South India, like I said, you have having post-Janmashtami, we also had pre-Janmashtami. In South India, I call it, we had in Tamil Nadu and in Kerala and in many other places. Kerala, we are having another Janmashtami in September because Kerala Janmashtami comes about 1 month later. There's many times a difference of 1 month. They celebrate on Ashtami, Rohini coming together, right? Tithi and Nakshatra. This is Ashtami and this is what is celebrated in Vrindavan. So I tell them in South India that one thing is called Gokulashtami, the other one is Janmashtami that we celebrate. I mean, just for the heck of it, to give them understanding, because they ask us, you're celebrating the local Janmashtami and tomorrow also you're celebrating Janmashtami. I said, one is Gokulashtami, we are celebrating the appearance of Krishna in Mathura to Vasudeva and Devaki. Janmashtami we celebrate, it happened in Vrindavan, Krishna was actually born to Yashoda and Nanda. So we have two Janmashtamis we celebrate. We call one Gokulashtami, we call other one Janmashtami. Of course, we can celebrate Janmashtami throughout the year. Somewhere Krishna is appearing. He's like the sun, Prabhupada said, and he's repeatedly coming and giving his pastimes out of his kindness to all his devotees. So some take-home meditations from these. I will be quick, and then I'd like to spend a little more time with you for some question answers, 5 or 10 minutes. Prabhupada started this movement and he specifically said Indians should take this task scientifically and spread this humanitarian work, and they should do it all over the world. Bharata bhumite hoila manusha janma jar janma shartak kuri kora paro upakar. In that purport, Prabhupada said, I am one Indian who came to the Western world and started this movement. What will happen if everybody does this and takes this seriously? I wanted to pitch this as one of the main thoughts during Prabhupada's appearance day for all Indians to meditate on specifically. Let's take what is a meditation first from Prabhupada's appearance that happened yesterday, which is fresh in all our minds even now. So Prabhupada specifically spoke a lot about, it's amazing that Prabhupada's appearance day is coming immediately after Janmashtami. And this has got some very special significance to it. Prabhupada left India 1965 on a ship Jaladuta. On August 21st, 22nd, he came to Cochin. His ship docked in Cochin because he was waiting for Bhagavatam sets that he had printed to arrive in Cochin from Bombay. And for 2 days, the ship was docked there. On one of those days was Janmashtami. It was his first Janmashtami outside of Vrindavan, outside of his whole of India. Of course, he's still not out of India, but he celebrated the Janmashtami on the ship. And he spoke to Captain Panda about Krishna. He spoke to some of the sailors and gave them a little prasadam. Very lonely Janmashtami he celebrated. He made a very huge sacrifice. The next day he became 70 years old. Immediately next to Janmashtami is Prabhupada's appearance day. Nobody knew that there was an old man who turned 70 on a cargo ship, and he was making a journey to turn the whole world and transform the whole world. After celebrating a very puny, insignificant Janmashtami and an appearance day for himself, praying to Krishna, he set out sailing. He got 2 heart attacks after that. And then Prabhupada landed in America and started this amazing movement, which is spread all over the world in 700 and odd places, with 500 million pieces of literature distributed, and centers all over, and closet Krishnas worshipping Krishna into their houses and families, and spreading at the grassroots level tremendously. Every day, every minute, every second, somebody is becoming Krishna conscious by taking a plate of prasadam, by hearing a lecture, by taking a book of Prabhupada, by coming in touch with his temple, by coming in touch with a festival. Somewhere or the other, powerful magic of Prabhupada is happening. So we are very grateful to us. But this year, like we said, our Janmashtami is very simple, and we can prominently, loudly hear one instruction of Prabhupada, which he repeatedly mentioned in his 7 purposes before forming ISKCON. He kept saying, simple living, high thinking. Simple living, high thinking. Our whole main business is to, actually make it simple. I remember Srila Swami, whenever we would have a meeting and I would say certain things that were a little complicated, he would say, K-I-S-S, kiss. Don't you understand? I said, what is it? Sannyasi is saying K-I-S-S. He said, keep it simple, stupid. He said, that is the abbreviation. Keep it simple, stupid. Those days, and that is Prabhupada's sutra, simple living, high thinking. How we can live a very enriched life inside, and outside reduce our width. Unnecessarily don't spend time too much of wide arrangements and things that we need to attend to. Reduce the width. Keep it very, very simple. Simple living, high thinking. Reading Prabhupada's books, chanting Hare Krishna. And now in the pandemic, with the huge amount of problems that people are having lost, millions of people have lost millions of jobs. People are under great stress about the future. People are under stress about what will happen to them when they'll be struck by an invisible enemy that's insidiously lurking somewhere, a microorganism, somewhere suspended in the air, somewhere suspended on some object, somewhere, we don't know where. And people are in great pandemonium in the pandemic. So at this type of time, we can say, ringing in our ears, we can hear simple living, high thinking. We should know how to make our life simple. Today, I just heard that working from home, which I call WFH, was 2% before the COVID struck. 2% of the employees were working from home. Today, 33% of the employees are working from home. What a huge jump from 2% to 33%. 1 in 50 were working, and now 1 in 3 are working from home. So people have got to know that they have to work from home, which means what is work, what is home? Why not stay at home? We are coming from the parampara of Krishna. Krishna is showcasing wonderful Vrindavan to us. The Vrindavan life, the Vraja life, very simple. Cowherd boys, cowherd girls, Nanda Maharaj and Yashodhara cowherd men and women. And Krishna is a cowherd boy. And we may wonder how God is just a cowherd boy. It's very difficult to explain this to people. But do you know what the experience there is? The experience there is very, very deep. Each one of those simple things that Krishna does, going with the cows to the forest, milking the cows, drinking the milk of the cow, having his wonderful association with the Gopas. Any and every one of these things that are happening in Vrindavan are rich, so deep, filled with sweetness, Madhurya Rasa. And this is a wonderful example of deep living and simple width, just enough width. So this is what Prabhupada meant by saying simple living, high thinking. We are coming in the parampara of Krishna. If I say this, some of you may think it's radical. But when a German professor actually traveled all over India and went to many temples, he was studying Indian culture and religion and everything, Hinduism. And he met Prabhupada. He's a German professor. I think he met Prabhupada somewhere in the UK or in the US or something. And Prabhupada asked him, what did you see? And he spoke about, I went to many temples, I saw many gods. I saw a god with a long tongue hanging full of blood splattered. And, you know, she's got so many arms and this thing just killing a demon. I saw another god carrying a mountain and flying. I saw another one on top of a peacock. I saw another one with a snake around his neck. I saw so many of them. But I saw one of them. He was not doing any of these things. He was holding a flute to his lips and playing. He seemed to be very calm, very peaceful, and extremely happy. I think he is the Supreme because he doesn't have anything to do. So Prabhupada immediately smiled and said that you are a very good observer. Wonderful, you're an intelligent observer. Yes, and then he spoke about Krishna to him. Natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate parashaya shaktir vividhaiva shuyate. The Lord, the Supreme Lord, has no work to do. Natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate. Nobody has any work to do really in Vraja, in Vrindavan. Everything they do is to please Krishna. That's the only work they do. Like Shankaracharya said, Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Geetam, Ekam Devo Devaki Putra Eva, Yeko Mantras Tasya Namani Yani Karma Ekam Tasya Devasya Seva. There should be only one work that is meant to serve the Lord. There should be only one mantra, his holy name. There should be only one God, Krishna, Devaki's Putra. There should only be one scripture required, that is Bhagavad Gita. So we are coming in the parampara of work from home only. Krishna works from home. He doesn't even leave Vrindavan at all. Vrindavanam parityajya ekapadam na gachanti. In fact, he works from home only because he stays at home and enjoys the pleasure of the company of his devotees and performs wonderful, sweet pastimes with them. You see? Sarva adbhuta chamatkara leela kallola varidihi atulya madhura prema mandita priyamandalaha trijaga manasa karchi murali karakujita asamanordha rupa shri visma pita charachara. There are 4 qualities of Krishna which are so wonderful, which you don't find in Narayana and Vishnu also. And they are what? His wonderful pastimes in Vrindavan especially. And then he's surrounded by Priya Mandita Mandala, always surrounded by his beautiful devotees, wonderful devotees. Then he plays the flute, number 3. And number 4, what a beautiful form he has got. Asamanortha rupashi vismapita charachara. So in Vrindavan, Krishna doesn't need to go and do work anywhere. He's a work from home specialist. In fact, he is the Adi work from home founder. In fact, he's inviting all of us to work from home, to work from our real home, from our home of Vrindavan consciousness. So we should think now in the pandemic about how to become simple. All the temples are being asked to also set up an ancillary structure for sustaining themselves, farming, growing some vegetables, growing your grains and everything that is needed, and keeping the cow and looking after the cow. Cow protection and agriculture has come into focus a lot during this pandemic time. And that, I think, is an indication from Krishna himself, right? Right. So welcome to the work from home culture. Other thing that you can look at is Prabhupada's books, his wonderful contribution. Prabhupada personally instructed us to read his books, to actually read his books scrutinizingly. And this is a wonderful gift of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Many of us, sometimes even devotees, don't have time to read. They're so busy with so many things, their own household affairs, their work, and then their Krishna conscious activities, their sadhana and everything. Sometimes even they find it difficult, and they love to read at heart. They want to find the time to read and indulge. And to those of you who are maybe followers of ISKCON, who are patrons of ISKCON, who are new members of ISKCON, this is something worth trying, especially during the pandemic. Please spend a little time reading Prabhupada's books. At least you can read them and you can speak them, think about them, write a little note about them, and talk to about others. Every day, read one shloka if you can, minimum. Think about it, reflect on it. Sometimes those things that you reflect on will affect you very deeply. Let it affect you. There are all sorts of people we have. Sometimes I tell our readers, don't just read for the sake of giving the lecture alone, for the sake of the class alone. I call them asymptomatic readers because they read, they don't get affected by it. They pass it on to somebody else. You should, of course, even that is very good. In lieu of not doing reading at all, that would be very good. But at least you should reflect on it and pass it on to others, distribute these wonderful books of Prabhupada. You will see when you read Prabhupada's books, he'll actually be present there for you. You'll have a personal connection with a wonderful, great, pure devotee, a wonderful sage who transformed the whole world. So if you experience Prabhupada's books, you know you can experience Krishna. You can experience the powerful association of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, right? Having said that, the next great gift that I would say Prabhupada is giving us is his association, like I mentioned, through the devotees who are following him to the letter and trying to do their best to expand the Krishna consciousness movement. And so many people are being contacted during this pandemic. There is no limit to the amount of, communication of the devotees through so many new people are being contacted. And people are so wonderful. They want to hear these things. And they're willing to accept it. And there is a great bond when we have this associative communication. When we give to people, they are willing to take. When we don't give, actually, they suffer, we also suffer. In the giving of this wonderful information of Krishna consciousness is great pleasure because everybody gets to associate with the pure devotee. Everybody gets to associate with Krishna through chanting of the holy names and the wonderful association of the family of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada's ISKCON movement. So these are some take-homes that from Prabhupada's appearance day that we can take. And from the Janmashtami, what are the take-home meditations that we can have? You know, the lockdown suffered by Vasudev and Devaki, Kamsa locked them down. He put them inside a jail. So lockdown is not something new. And they were not locked down just for the pandemic. They were not told by an astrologer that it's only till September, it's only till November, December, and the bad times are going and it'll be through, which we all expect so. They were locked down for quite a long time. 6 children were born. 7th one was born and aborted. And, of course, it was Balram transferred to Rohini in Vrindavan. And then the 8th child, minimum you can say 72 months. Uh, uh, Even more than that, you can say 10 years, they were locked down. You know what it reminds us? It reminds us of a greater lockdown that we are all in. This lockdown reminds us this is a physical lockdown. Krishna bhuliya bhogavanchakare japatiya maya dhare. This is explained in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Prabhupada explains that we have left Krishna and we have preferred to try out on our own being controller, being a person who likes to enjoy matter on his own. Therefore, this world was created. And inside this world, we are locked down into forgetfulness. We are imprisoned by this mind, by this body, by the boundaries of this material world. Otherwise, as spirit soul, you're as brilliant as the so many thousands of suns. We don't see that brilliance. We don't see the great potency. We are locked down. Our potency is down. We are insignificant and we have accepted this material burden, this material body and this material existence. So lockdown is not something new. We are within a lockdown already, and within that we have had a temporary physical lockdown. Vasudeva and Devaki also were locked down physically, but they didn't give in. They didn't lose their dependence on God, their dependence on Krishna. This is one powerful thing we can learn. Devaki lost 6 of her children. Here is a beautiful painting of Ravi Verma from Kerala. This is Krishna and Balarama coming back after 11 years in Vrindavan, just before and just after maybe they killed Kamsa, Chanura, Mushtika and everything. They are being met with by Devaki so affectionately. Krishna and Balaram are being met with. But before that, they were in constant fear. They were in fear of Kamsa, what Kamsa would do. And Vasudeva brokered an agreement with Kamsa. Please don't kill Devaki. I'll give you all those sons that are born, because it is the sons that you need to worry about. It's the 8th son you need to worry about. It's not Devaki you need to worry about. So don't have to kill Devaki and spoil your name. He did a very diplomatic, wonderful brokering of an agreement. Sama, Beda, both he used Sama, Beda, Dana, Danda. He was not able to give any dan, neither was he a violent person to give some danda, Kshatriya type. He just used Sama and Beda and pacified, Kamsa, and brokered an agreement that I will give you all the children that are born out of me, out of Devaki. And because he fully knew and was fully confident that Krishna has his plans. So we have to make sacrifices when we live in this world. This world is a lockdown world also. We have to make sacrifices. They made a sacrifice in order to get Krishna as their son. They said, okay, we'll sacrifice our 6 children. Okay, we will live in the prison house under lockdown. But you can never lock down my bhakti. You have no access to it. There's one precious thing that I have. You can never touch. You can never touch. You have the right to do anything to me physically. You have the privilege also to do. But I have the freedom to always preserve my Krishna consciousness. So within this lockdown, we may need to make many sacrifices materially. You may not be able to see some of your children. You may not be able to see your relatives. You may not be able to do that. You may not be able to do this. But you can always keep Krishna close to you. And that will turn out to be ultimately hugely successful. You don't have to be losing your mental health. Throughout the world, we are seeing now, mental health has become the biggest problem. And so many people are losing. You can meditate on Krishna by chanting of the holy name. You can actually sustain yourself in spite of the so-called attack of Maya, because you can keep your chanting of the holy name, reading of Prabhupada's books. From Vasudeva and Devaki's whole this pastime of lockdown, we can learn how we can manage ourselves within this pandemic. It's a powerful lesson. You can, while you are there, do an amazing thing of spreading this Karuna virus, the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You can make people chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And you can benefit immensely from this. I know that we cannot physically meet the devotees. We are not able to actually access them physically. This is Sanatan Goswami, who had sores on his body. He got a skin disease and he was keeping away from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya came to him and physically embraced him to his heart. And all the sores and blood stuck on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But Lord Chaitanya, when Sanatana Goswami said, don't do this, please, my body is full of sores and pus and your body will get contaminated. He said, no, 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 no. My body will get purified by embracing you, by embracing a Vaishnava like you, by embracing a devotee like you. I really will make great progress in my spiritual life. Saying so, he tightly embraced Lord he tightly embraced Sanatana Goswami. At this point of time, I know all of us cannot do this. Even inside the temple, I cannot embrace a Vaishnava. I have a mask on me and I have to keep a social distance, unfortunately. But we can always reduce that social distance by bringing soul to soul contact. Physically, we may not have contact, but by hearing about Krishna, by chanting Hare Krishna and sharing these beautiful stories of Krishna, we will make tremendous progress. Prabhupada has given us this great gift of Krishna consciousness. So let's utilize this wonderfully and take home in this Janmashtami how I will deepen my meditation and chant Hare Krishna without offenses, deeply meditate. How I will read Prabhupada's books, which are a great gift to human society, deeply and not widely alone. How I will make whatever sacrifice is required during this pandemic and lockdown incidentally and take it as something that I have to do. But actually, I will convert that sacrifice into highest profit like Vasudeva and Devaki did. How I will try to live simply and go back to Godhead, thinking highly according to the Vraja consciousness, according to Vrindavan consciousness, and meditate on the beautiful pastimes of Krishna. Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tatvatah tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sorjuna. In this way, I would like to give these little post meditations after the Janmashtami that you've had successfully. And I pray to Krishna that all of you will be blessed by Krishna, blessed by Prabhupada. All of you who are connected in some way or the other with the Krishna consciousness movement here in Damodar Desh, that he will bless you and that you will make progress in leaps and bounds, both in your spiritual life and he will protect you in your material life. Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
His Holiness Bhaktivinoda Swami Maharaja ki jai. Maharaj,
Okay.
you have a minute
I
or two
hope
to take.
I hope I finished on time. I think I did on time. I took 35 minutes, like you said.
Perfectly on
5
time,
minutes.
Maharaj. Can
Okay,
I
thank you.
request any questions from anybody? We have a few minutes that you can pick up and ask questions directly. Unmute yourself and ask your question. Can you?
Put it on chat.
Or post your question on chat if you have a question, please. We'll just give it a minute before Maharaj moves. Maharaj, in the meantime, can you just explain about the project in Coimbatore in a minute or two until we have some questions?
Okay. I didn't expect that. But The project in Coimbatore is a wonderful project. I didn't get into it for the past 15 years because I was focusing on other projects in Kerala and other things. We have got about 8 acres of land in the very prime locality in Coimbatore, and we have an added 3 acres which we are developing into a housing property. We are floating houses so that we can develop a whole community. Within the 8 acres, we are developing the project in 3 phases. It's the first phase that consists of a beautiful, huge temple. The temple is like a plus sign. It's like a swastika. It has got a very huge temple hall, maybe the biggest of ISKCON temples apart from Mayapur and 1 or 2 other places. And it's got Prabhupada's gallery. It's got a museum. It's got all facilities for classes. An academy is already functioning here, so we're shifting the academy there to the basement. We have a broadcasting room already set up. Name it, and any and every facility that is required to convert this into an educational complex for vibrantly teaching Krishna consciousness to others. So very well facilitated. It's a beautiful architecture, very different. It's a mix of South Indian and Neo-Dravidian architecture. We also have another huge utility building that will serve to sustain this complex. We want to make a sustainable thing. Since we're situated in a very good locality, very accessible, we have 18 colleges right on the main road, 1 kilometer from where we are, on the Avanashi Road. All the engineering colleges, the corporate offices are all there. So we are setting up this more like an educational center, and Radha and Krishna deities are going to be installed in addition to Jagannath, Balaram, and Subhadra and Gaurnita that we already have. In the new complex, you have a restaurant, you have Kalyana Mandapam, you have a guest house with nearly 50 to 100 rooms. We're planning in 2 stages. First to be 50 rooms, then we make it into 100 rooms. And we have a restaurant, we have a snack bar, we have library, you name it, everything. And it is very close to the airport. It is just about 6 minutes drive from the airport. Plum, you will come here. So this is the first phase of the project. The second phase has got an academic complex, is something like a university. And the third phase has got a youth hostel. We're already having a youth hostel now called Ashraya, wherein about 25 youngsters are staying, both working and who are studying close by. We plan to expand that further. So it's an ambitious project, and we'll be very happy if any one of you wants to come and take part in it, take a residence here in the housing, be part of the community, or you want to support this complex by a donation, or any type of service that you want to do, please contact me. I'll be very happy because I am an old friend of Damodar Desh. I'll be very happy to facilitate and make you part of the community to expand your Krishna consciousness. Thank you. Right. Thank you for that opportunity, Srila Prabhu. So here is a question from Usha Radhakrishnan. Maharaja has asked us to meditate on Corona virus with Mahaprabhu and the holy name in the Corona time. May I ask Maharaj to elaborate little light to overcome the social distance? Oh, Radhika Pati. Well, one was a comment that we have told you should get involved in spreading the coronavirus because that is the instruction of Prabhupada. That's also the instruction that we have received from Lord Chaitanya. And at least my Guru Maharaj is constantly telling us to also take part in distributing the holy name because that was Lord Chaitanya's desire. So I think the coronavirus can best be counteracted by getting the karuna of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. How to overcome social distance? Well, that's what we're doing now. This is the best we can do. We can virtually overcome the social distance. But then as devotees, we must follow some of these norms that have been asked of us. And we should not break it. We should try our best. You can definitely reduce your social distancing within your house with your family members. But with other persons, you may have to be satisfied with coming virtually online and seeing each other's beautiful countenances and exchanging words and everything for the time being. This social distancing is definitely not very permanent. We hope that we'll be free from it, and very soon we'll be able to have physical contact with the devotees. So that's all I can offer to you, concession on social distancing as of now, because the pandemic is at its peak. We are in the eye of the storm, like they say. So right now it's advisable to follow it. Abhishek Agrawal says, thank you for the lecture as you talked about time management. Did I? I don't know. Anyway, can you guide us to management the time effectively? Well, managing time effectively can be seen in several layers. The ultimate layer is something else. But on the superficial layer, people will tell you how to manage time. You can see so many motivation speakers speaking about it, great management experts and consultants speaking about it, how to get more out of your time, etc. And I don't think I need to touch that. In devotees' life, there's another practical thing that we do, how we can balance our work life, our household life, our Krishna conscious life, and how to balance that. It's like a tripartite, three-sided triangle. Your work that you may be doing, if at all you're working, you spending time with your family, and spending time with yourself, your Krishna consciousness, your personal spiritual advancement. All these three things we should do. According to the Bhagavatam, you should pay focus to developing yourself spiritually. If you do that, the other two become easier to do. It's an illusion to think that I cannot do it. But if you put in a little discipline into your life, you can actually do that. And most devotees are quite disciplined. They get up for Mangalarti, they chant their japa, they do some reading and attend Bhagavatam class. And after that, they go and do their office work, etc. They come back in the evening and spend time with their family, with their children, with their wife and husband or whatever. And in this way, they create quite some balance. Once in a while, they take off and go for a yatra, a pilgrimage. So overall, you can pretty well do it, and many of you must be doing it. Sometimes there are difficulties. One stretches a little bit this way, that way, due to emergencies. And we'll have to put up with that, because our life is not like a straight road. It's not like a straight ride on a straight road. The saying goes that the Greek philosopher, who's that, Socrates, Plato, in their discussion, I think, they discussed about how you ride a horse on a chariot, and the horses are not because they've got blinds that they actually go straight. They also maneuver and meander like this on the road, and the driver of the horse keeps putting them on track. But average overall, they have gone straight. So realistically, practically in life, when you do a little adjustments, you may swerve a little bit here. Don't take that too seriously. It's not that you're not managing your time properly. Managing time is not a straight line, hard, cold, straight line. We are human beings. So there'll be a little bit this way and that way, a little meandering. Give yourself that little elbow space. Don't be too tight. But more or less, on an average, you can manage your life, I think. So devotees should do that. But I told you the real grounding principle is make spiritual life the most important priority. Do that first, and you'll see everything else happens very nicely. That's the real trick from time management for a devotee. Chant your japa, worship Krishna, read Prabhupada's books quickly, and do that first thing in the morning. First things first. You do that, and you'll see everything else will follow very nicely. That's a little hint that I can give you, Abhishek, for the question that you asked me. How to make family a devotee who were Vaishnava earlier, but in Maya they turned into the other world. Wow, that must be pretty easy. They're already Vaishnavas and a little Maya. Please pray to Krishna for them, give them prasadam, give them some association, and be good friends with them. Definitely, Krishna within their heart will no doubt understand this. and give an opportunity to them to again come back to Krishna consciousness. Be friendly, be nice, because they're already Vaishnavas. It's just a temporary effect of this world. So appeal to their Vaishnavism from within their heart, and I'm sure that things will turn out good. Okay, I don't know whether I should go ahead answering questions, Srila Prabhu. If you're not there, then I can go ahead. Is the Shamasundara Krishna and cowherd boys still in Vrindavan even now? Yes, they are. But those who are fortunate, it says, can actually see them performing their pastimes. But those who are not very advanced in Krishna consciousness, they may need to wait to purify themselves to be able to see. Okay, the last question. The gopis did not know who Krishna is, but they loved him selflessly. Loving someone without knowing about him is being appreciated here. Then how is this love different from a young boy and girl performed ex-materialistic love? It's not true that the gopis does not know who is Krishna. The gopis know Krishna. They don't know much about him being God. You must understand this correctly. Krishna is not God for the gopis and Vrindavan Vasis. He may be God, but that's not important. That's not important for them. That's why you'll see in the Gopika Geetam, they will, you say, Antaratmadrik. We heard that you're situated in everybody's heart. We heard that you've appeared for the prayers of Brahma. We heard that this is what you did. They talk about you being God. But you are such a cheater. You asked us to come in the middle of the night and you flirt around with other. This is what they said to him. They know Krishna. They don't care about him being God. Their love for Krishna is so great that it doesn't matter if they didn't bother much about him being God to Krishna. Because Krishna is completely absorbed in their love. And their love overcomes the greatness of Krishna. The sweetness of Krishna takes precedence over the greatness of Krishna. So it's not true that they don't know. They know only Krishna. They don't know that he is God much. That's how it is. So therefore, loving relationships that Krishna has with the gopis is not something ordinary of this world at all. It's never to be compared with that. The gopis and their love for Krishna, Yashoda and their love for Krishna, the parents of Krishna, the gopas and their love for Krishna are all completely transcendental. The gopis and Krishna, they were 8 years old. The gopis were even less, 7 years old when the Rasa Leela took place. So we need to correct ourselves in our mind. They were enjoying the highest of bliss. It didn't matter that they were young girls, but they were getting super experience because of Krishna wanting to show them mercy, right? And they can never be compared to ordinary young boy and girl's love. That is lust, and this is love. Okay. Thank you. Oh, there's one more. After 50, one should try to settle in Dhamma. What Dhamma do you recommend to be settled in, especially for Grihasthas? Well, right now you're in a Dhamma, D-A-M-N-A. Well, the whole material world is damned with many pandemic, coronavirus and everything. I'm sure. Which dham, what dham do you recommend to settle in? Why? Wherever Krishna has got his temples, wherever ISKCON mandirs are there, you may settle with the community. Prabhupada said all these things are dhams. He did not recommend that we go and sit down in the holy dham. He wanted us to be actively involved in preaching and giving Krishna consciousness to others. And in this way, once in a while, go to the dham and come back. If you ask me, this is what I normally tell devotees. Unless you're so old that you can't move around anymore and you can't really do anything much, then you can go and settle in Vrindavan at the last stage of your life so that you can pass away there. But if you have a little ounce of some life in you, then please settle around a community and take up Krishna consciousness. You're welcome to Coimbatore community. Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much.
His Holiness Bhaktivinoda Swami Maharaj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Krishna Janmashtami Mahotsava ki jai. Thank you very much, Maharaj. Looking forward to visiting the Coimbatore temple supporting Coimbatore Temple, and maybe, as you said, settling around Coimbatore Temple and near all the temples.
Welcome, 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 welcome. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you very much. Thank you,
Thank you.
all of you. I would
You
like
want to
to,
give-
in spite of social distance, virtually embrace all of you. Hare
Thank you, Maharaj. Yes, we have to follow Vani
Hare.
more than Bapu at this time. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Now, devotees, we've been enlightened from the morning with the yoga, with the yajna, with yajna, and then we had the Vishnu Sahasranam Archana.